What's going on, guys? Another knife review here for you. Today we're going to be looking at the Boker Plus Jeremy Marsh collaboration, the Mini Vanquish. Jeremy Marsh, obviously, well, not obviously. If you don't know him, he's a custom maker, very highly sought after custom maker. He's got a very interesting designs for his blades. You see this somewhat of a modified Warncliffe, this harpoon tip, this large dip in the spine of the blade, even this thumb deployment stud, if you will. So design is even this pocket clip right here. This Jeff Vandermeulen mini intro right here. Jeremy Marsh and Jeff Vandermeulen are, from what I've learned, are very good friends. And Jeff Vandermeulen learned quite a bit from Jeremy Marsh when he was getting into knife making. So you can see some of the similarities in the design, whether it be the frame or the pocket clip. But this one, this Jeremy Marsh is, again, a collaboration with Boker Plus. So you got a big problem there, because I have come to the conclusion long ago that Boker Plus absolutely just sucks. And I'm not ashamed or afraid to say that whatsoever. I've only had one good experience with the Boker Plus, and that was with my Excalibur, the full-size Excalibur, which is a collaboration with Burger Knives, their their LEXK knife, and that was actually one of, not my favorite knives, but it was a really fun knife to play with. You know, the lack of thumb studs, and I have to say this, Nothing Fancy just did a review of the Excalibur. It was one of the worst reviews I've ever seen in my entire life, because he didn't have a clue what he was talking about. I was so pissed off watching that review, and yeah, it was just, oh man, it was such a terrible review. Anyway, not that my reviews are that great, but at least I try to learn what I'm talking about, or learn about the knife or the background of the knife. So anyway, I digress. What we got here is a, let's see here, 440C blade that you see up here. There's Jeremy Marsh's logo, Boker Plus. All in all, in terms of the look of the knife, it's actually not bad. Boker Plus being a Chinese-produced knife, the Chinese factories, at least for Boker Plus, their factories are not, that well known for their fit and finish or their quality control. So there's a lot of little things in this knife that is just not right. A lot of sharp edges, on this back spacer on the G10. Very rough on the hands. Really just sticks into you. The titanium lock face with the steel is, it's sticky. Very rough for the most part. The thumb deployment, again, this triangular stud, if that's what you call it, is terrible. It's like sticks into your thumb, and it hurts on deployment. It's rough. The detent is rough, and then the blade itself is very rough. So I mean, I'm going to take this apart and smooth it out. My plan in getting this knife was to do some work on it, just acid stow washing and kind of fixing up the pivot, maybe anodizing the, these are titanium liners, so these are blue anodized on the inside, so you do have that titanium liner lock right there. I do notice that as I keep opening it, that it's at least breaking in a little bit, but of course you do have side to side on here, and you do have up and down. Granted, it's not even that force, just doing the quick size comparison here with the Spyderco Southern. These are all collaboration knives. The Buck Mayo, the Sebenza is not, obviously, Chris Reeve, and then the Boker Plus Rexford. So these two being of the same company, you know, the way they carried out this knife, obviously you guys all know this one's got lock rock, and this one as lock rock as well, as a liner lock, this one as a frame lock. So other materials, stainless steel bolsters, G10 scales right here. It is smoothed out, so you do have that kind of wood grain, so that looks nice. But again, you know, all these edges extremely sharp. If I drag my finger hard enough on here, I will scratch it, or especially on like the soft part of your arm or whatever, it will scratch you for sure. Underneath the titanium, you get a sense that it's pretty cheap titanium, I think. You know, taking out the scales, you do see a lot of the machining marks on the titanium. So yeah, and then inside you do have phosphor bronze washers, but they're tiny. They barely, I don't have anything to compare it to, but obviously the pivot screw is underneath the bolster here, and I would say, you know, around the screw, the pivots, I'm sorry, the washers are probably about 2 millimeters, maybe 3 millimeters wide. You know, that radius coming from the pivot to the outer rim of the pivot, you know, is that small. So 2 millimeters to 3 millimeters, you know, that donut, if you will, that outer diameter, that's how small it is. I think overall, you know, this is a good-looking knife. I mean, the Vanquish is a really nice-looking knife. I think it's, I believe it's Supervillain. He's got, I think it's Supervillain. I'm not positive, but I think he's got a custom-made Vanquish, you know, with that that succubus carving. You know, obviously a absolute work of art. I mean, I wouldn't personally choose a succubus to have on my knife, but you gotta say, you know, it's amazing art that Jeremy Marsh did on that knife. So absolutely beautiful knife, and I have to say, unfortunately, this Boker Plus does not do any kind of justice to what Jeremy Marsh is capable of. And you know, even a tenacious, you know, Spyderco's China line is just so much better. It feels so much better, so much smoother than anything Boker Plus. And I'm kind of ranting a little bit, and I'm not going to go long, but yeah, Boker Plus, I don't know like how they market to these custom makers. You know, whether it be Rexford, whether it be Marsh, whether it be Burnley. I think the Burnley Quakens, for the most part, has gotten pretty decent feedback, especially after Alex gets his hands on them. You know, he does magic to all those knives and makes them look like custom flippers. So that's pretty cool. But, you know, this, I mean, the Spyderco Southern right out of the box is perfection, in my opinion. You know, this is one of the most perfect collaboration. You know, there's little tiny things like the lanyard tube and the pocket clip that, you know, people had issues with, but I mean, for me, again, they're easy fixes. You take the scale off, rip out the lanyard tube, file this down. You know, if you have access to Radio Shack, you get some acid and yeah, maybe a little bit of work, but you know, out of the box, it's still a perfectly functional, super smooth knife. Granted, it's $200 some. You know, this is $70 some, but man, I would rather just save the money and not waste it on something like this. Again, that's not a jab at Jeremy Marsh, because you know his knives, his custom knives, are amazing. But when you, gosh, man, when you associate your name with a company like this, you know, a company as bad as Boker Plus. And I'm ripping on these Chinese brands. I'm Chinese, you know, like I don't have any shame in saying that, you know, and it's just horrible. And so it's kind of, I want to say almost detrimental. I mean, not detrimental. Of course, people are still going to want to get a Rexford. They're going to want to get a Marsh. They want to get, this makes me want to get a Southern so bad, you know. And of course, as a collector user, I would love to get a Marsh, but this doesn't do anything for me in terms of wanting a Marsh. You know, I want a Marsh because I want a Marsh, and I want a Rexford because I know what they're able to do. But signing your name on one of these knives, that's just I don't know. I know you make some money, but oh gosh, these are just terrible knives. So this Buck Mayo, this makes me want a Mayo because this is actually a very smooth, very comfortable, very ergonomic, super lightweight. The mayonnaised holes on here. I mean, Buck did a great job on these knives. Spyderco did an awesome job, on this Southern and on this Techno, Martin Schleiss, collaboration. They did awesome jobs. So I wish like Jeremy Marsh and Rexford. I know I just did a review on the 801 right here. Based on the Singularity model, this Rexford is an awesome knife, and it's really grown on me. But this knife, these Bokers, like, man, custom makers, please stop signing with Boker Plus because it doesn't speak well, to your, I don't know, your company or to what you guys are capable of. Your designs are awesome, but when I think of this, I think, man, Brad Southern makes an awesome knife, a awesome functioning, well-built knife. Mayo makes amazing and beautiful knives. Marsh, I know because I've seen them on USN and other places, makes awesome knives, but as a user, I'm sorry, this just absolutely sucks. So, anyway, I'm done ranting. I'm getting off my soapbox now. If you have the money, keep it. Don't buy this knife. It's horrible. Save it. Get any of these other collaborations. Maybe this one. I don't know, but yeah, save it. Get one of these knives. Techno 801. Heck, get a Tenacious, because this is 10 times better than this heap of trash. So again, look wise, it looks good, but outside of that, it's a pretty junky knife in my opinion. So rough around the edges, fit and finish is terrible. Actually quite uncomfortable, which I don't think a real Marsh would be. A real Marsh, I'm assuming, is going to be very ergonomic, fit the hand well, no hot spots from the pocket clip and whatnot. This one just claws at you everywhere, wherever your thumb rests. Like I'm scratching up my thumb, on all these little hard edges. This, smooth as butter, not a single hot spot anywhere. This is perfect. Perfect production knife, perfect collaboration between Spyderco and Brad Southern. Alright, so anyway, yeah, that's it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. You guys take care. I'll see you in the next vid. Bye.